I was born in Weehawken, New Jersey, which is a town on the Palisades opposite New York. In fact, it's the place where the Lincoln Tunnel dives under the water and comes up in New York. And then my parents moved up the Palisades 4 miles to a town called North Bergen. And there I lived until I was 16 and went off to Carnegie Tech. To try to paint a picture for you of those early times, let me paint it culturally first, and then let me paint it as I saw it as a scientific kid. Culturally, it was from a Jewish family in the Jewish culture of New York. They happened to be living in New Jersey, but they had come from New York and Brooklyn, and they the same Jewish culture that you know a lot about through many other people who have come up into science and other professions. That means there was a great deal of emphasis. That Jewish culture thinks of itself as the people of the book, and so there's a tremendous focus on learning and the book and reading and all that. So I think from what I hear, it's hard to remember back when you were a tiny kid, but I hear that I got to learn to read very early. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the story of my life. It was a middle class to lower middle class family culture. Nobody was very rich. We certainly weren't in my family. And it was all a public school education. My stepfather, whose name was Fred Rockman, R-A-C-H-M-A-N, Fred was, he was really the only one around in the family who had any college education, CCNY, but he used to take me off to the American Museum of Natural History, which was right across the river, go into New York on the bus and go up on the subway, and every month the Hayden Planetarium would change its program. They don't do it anymore because of cost reasons, so they change maybe every 3 months or 6 months, but every month we'd go over and see the new program, and we would examine one more room of the American Museum of Natural History. Tremendous impact on my life, especially the astronomy part, which is not unusual for kids, getting into science via astronomy. The other thing I remember from those early days, I'm talking about sort of 10 years old or less, is being a young science nerd right then and there. I mean, it's amazing how fast that develops. That means reading books like, well, many times you'll hear our generation of scientists talk about being motivated to go into science because they read Microbe Hunters. Or in my case, well, I did read that, but in my case, it was making sure I read Scientific American every month. As a kid.